Okay, welcome to topic 1, Principles of Nutrition, Physiology and Health, lesson 2, part 2. Now this video is going to be again split up into 2 parts. We're going to be talking about resistant starches, glycogen, fiber, so soluble and insoluble, as well as probiotics and prebiotics in this video. So let's start off by talking about resistant starch. Now both resistant starch, non-resistant starch, as well as fibers play a hefty role in maintaining our gut and digestive health. Now, resistant starch, as you may have guessed it, is resistant to digestion in the large bowel. In this environment, resistant starch provides fuel for the good bacteria of our microbiome. Now, our microbiome is the term that we use to describe the community of microorganisms that can be usually found in our gut. Now, the microbiome contains both good and bad bacteria. When we do not feed the good bacteria with enough of the resistant starches and the fibers, it can cause an increase in the bad bacteria, which then can lead to inflammation and a range of gut diseases and bowel diseases. So it's really important that we feed that good bacteria with those starches and the fibers. Okay, so the starch in the stomach will bind with water to partly dissolve and become like gel-like in the stomach, so viscous. Because it binds with that water, it tends to cause the stomach to expand and it slows the emptying of food into the stomach. Now, because it causes the stomach to expand, or bloat as we might like to call it, it reduces the rate again at which food is emptied into the small intestine from the stomach, and it maximizes the nutrients being absorbed from the duodenum. It causes this increase in nutrient absorption because obviously it's a lot slower, so there's a lot more time, a lot more surface area for the nutrients to be reabsorbed. It increases the feeling of the person's feeling of being full because obviously it's not being digested as quickly or it's not being moved through as quickly. And it provides a sustained or long-lasting feeling of energy. Okay. Now, the CSIRO states that the current research has found that resistant starch can increase gut health and reduce the risks of bowel cancer. And really interesting and scary, in Australia, bowel cancer is the second most common cancer in both men and women. Following from that, current research states that Australians are eating, on average, 4 times below the recommended resistant starch level. So it's really important that we're consuming resistant starch, one, to maintain our digestive health, particularly with those good bacteria, feeding them, and also reducing weight gain as well, because if you're feeling fuller for longer, you're not going to want to eat as much and you're going to reduce that weight gain as well. Some food sources of your resistant starches are like your green bananas, beans, brown rice, whole grains. Okay. Moving on to glycogen, there's not a lot of information on this slide, but glycogen is one of those polysaccharide molecules that are stored in the liver and muscle tissue and adipose tissue, and it can be broken down to be used as glucose in the body. So we're going to be talking about glycogen a little bit more when we talk about diabetes and things like that. So fiber. Dietary fibers are the structural parts of plants and are found in all plant-derived foods. The bonds between fibers cannot be broken down by digestive enzymes. Bacteria, however, can digest it a little bit. So the types of polysaccharides that we're talking about within fiber are classified as non-starch polysaccharides. So your cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectins. So fiber can be classified into soluble and insoluble. Dietary fibers that are soluble in water are obviously soluble fibers, and they form viscous gels or like a gel-like substance within the bowel. Now, these soluble fibers can be easily digested by bacteria in the colon, so they're fermentable, which means they're going to produce gas. Soluble fiber gives the stool, so the feces, the poo, eventually, it gives it bulkiness, okay? And soluble fibers include like your apples, bananas, barley, oats, and beans, particularly like the skins of your apples and bananas and barley. They are more of your insoluble fibers, okay? So insoluble fibers help to speed up the transit of food in the digestive tract. They do not dissolve in water. They do not form gels, so they're non-viscous. They're less fermented, and they help to relieve constipation and promote bowel movement. So whilst we're talking about resistant starches slowing down the movement through the bowel, yes, that's important, but we don't want to slow it down so much as that constipation occurs. If the stool is slowly being released through, the bowel, that can cause constipation, and it can also cause the water within the stool to be reabsorbed through that large intestine back into the body. So it's obviously, again, uncomfortable, going to cause that constipation. So soluble fibers help to make it bulky, and insoluble fibers help to expel it out of our body. Really important for digestive health, and really important that we have them in our diet. Food sources for soluble fibers are your apples, carrots, and peas, and insoluble fibers are your cauliflowers, your beans, like legumes, and potatoes, whole wheat flour. Quickly moving on now to probiotics and prebiotics, ignoring that little paragraph down the bottom. Probiotics are live bacteria and yeast that are good for your digestive system, and they help to feed that good gut bacteria. They help keep the gut healthy by aiding the movement of food through your gut, and probiotics are used to help treat the following diseases. So IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, so IBD, and some infectious diseases that can be caused by viruses, bacteria, or parasites. Prebiotics, on the other hand, are like specialized plant fibers. They're like fertilizers through your gut, and they again help keep the gut healthy by moving food through it. So next video, we're going to be talking about the function and nutrition of carbohydrates, talking about energy release, and going from there. So head on over to that video next.